All right, guys, we're going to move into game number 2. EGiNcontrol versus MMA. This game will be on Cloud Kingdom. And, yeah, we have started 1-0 for MMA. EGiNcontrol held a Hellion drop pretty well in the first game, but unfortunately, due to a drop, had to go be a regame, and he lost the first game in a bit of a 4-gate to MMA, so MMA also got some really good scouting. So we're going to have to see what exactly EGiNcontrol can do to try to swing this back in game number 2. I think Cloud Kingdom is a pretty solid map choice for EGiNcontrol. There's a lot of tight chokes. You can use Colossi to really great effect on this map. Force fields also work really well. I think this is a great map for all-ins due to how tight this choke is. It's so easy to block units off with force fields. But we're going to have to see what exactly these players want to do. MMA is going to be moving this SCV over, going to wall off his expansion, and I feel like from MMA's perspective as a Terran player, personally, I like Command Center first on this map a lot for Terran. It gives you a lot of options. You can do pressure afterwards with it due to the not so big distance. There's no ramp leading directly into the natural, so you can do a bit of pressure if the Protoss player is greedy. Sometimes you see a couple Nexus firsts on this map. But MMA looks like he wants to go for the Barracks follow-up again. Pretty standard. This is also a pretty solid 1-1-1 map. So I wouldn't be surprised to see MMA throw down a gas. He has a 14th SCV queued, not just yet. So this could be a gas play. And there we go. He's going to drop that refinery. So this is looking to be a little bit closer to the first game. I'm curious if we're going to see EGiNcontrol go for the same kind of really aggressive opener, or if we're going to see MMA go for factory play once more. But this should be interesting to say the least. Sorry, look, my connection was dropping a little bit. EGiNcontrol is going to come up here. He's going to be denied entrance into the base. The second supply depot was put up by MMA, so EGiNcontrol is not going to be able to get in to see what is going on here just yet. And he knows that when MMA went for the 1-racks expand, though, that he didn't go for the fast wall off. But he also knows that in game number 1, when he got the second depot, he did go for gas. So EGiNcontrol might not be fooled by this. I might say, hey, you know, when you played economically, you didn't block off. But that could also be a reason why MMA would wall off. You say, hey, I'm gonna fast expand, and you're gonna think that because I didn't wall off, you know, mind games basically. But EGiNcontrol right now going for a pretty standard follow-up. His Cybernetics core is on the way. I feel like, yeah, he's going to bake the Zealot this game. He says, you know, I don't want you to, engineering may block me. EGiNcontrol definitely doesn't want the game to end super early. The last game he was kind of forced into that awkward position because of the engineering bay block coming in from MMA. When he scouted that there was no Zealot, he scouted that there was no second gas, so EGiNcontrol is going to be in a much better position early on. Marine does take out the scouting probe, and we have a factory close to completion for MMA. No second gas, though, so it does look like we're going to see some sort of starport play, possibly another Hellion drop, a repeat from what MMA wanted to do in game number 1. And here goes the starport. We're going to have the Nexus for EGiNcontrol in his natural expansion. Stalker on the way, heading down towards MMA's base. Most likely want to pick off this SCV scout. Sentry to follow this up, so it looks like he's not going to try to be too aggressive. He's going to take second gas in the main base, and yeah, things looking pretty normal. Nothing really exciting has happened yet. EGiNcontrol is going to have to be careful, though. His Zealot's going to scout that there's no expansion, there's no bunker, so he definitely should be tipped off a little bit that there might be something up. The medevac is on the way. The second Hellion is almost complete. Third Hellion will be starting very soon, and MMA scouts the expansion. There's a sentry here. He's barely going to be able to kill that SCV. It was softened up from earlier, and EGiNcontrol is going to go straight into 3 gateway play. I like this decision. If he rushed Robotics Facility, he might not be able to get enough units to deal with this drop. He also has really great map presence, constantly checking that tower, has a pylon in the bottom position, and a probe at the third base, so he's in a pretty good spot to see anything coming. But MMA is going to send some Marines forward with this once more, and yeah, I think we're going to have to see what exactly MMA can make happen. This is going to be purely based off of micro. I don't think this is any kind of real build decider here in this game. But Robotics Facility is about halfway done for EGiNcontrol, so he's most likely going to move into Colossi Tech, possibly get an Immortal to help deal with this. But here we go. The Hellions are heading towards the natural. The medevac has all the Marines in it, headed for the main, straight for that mineral line. These Hellions are waiting for the Marines to pull these units out of position, but InControl is in position to stop this. Only 2 stalkers. He's going to need to back off. Be careful with these. He doesn't want to lose them. Only takes shield damage so far. He has the additional gateways. Drops a force field at the ramp to prevent the Hellions from running in. Saves all of the probes. So really nice hold here from InControl. Doing exactly what he needed to do. Scouting that there was no expansion from MMA. And really setting himself up for a pretty solid position. But the Hellions do get in. The sentry was moved away from the ramp. And here we go. These Hellions. He should be able to stop them from doing too much damage. But MMA is going to get away with 9 probe kills, 10 probe kills. So taking a little bit of a supply lead and also completing his natural expansion. And with mules, this is going to give MMA a bit of an economic lead. If we look at the unit counting tab, he has more SCVs. InControl's supply is higher now, but it's an army supply. He has a good number of stalkers, a couple of sentries, and we could see him go for some counter aggression, but instead he's going to follow this up with 2 observers. I think it's a pretty smart decision. 1 observer, of course, to check for any further aggression coming out, and another observer to scout possible tech coming out of MMA. But MMA is kind of, like I said, you know, there's an opportunity here for InControl to try to counterattack with a couple of Immortals, and MMA immediately gets 2 bunkers, a very solid follow-up for this, and he's in a pretty good spot. He's getting his stim pack now. We only have, actually we're going to have double forge going down for InControl, so he's going to try to really power out upgrades after holding that aggression off. He lost some probes, so he's going to try to get an advantage elsewhere. Since he's behind in economy, wants to get a really big upgrade lead. We only have 1 engineering bay for MMA. He's not doing that style that we saw him use against Lowly, where he went for a lot of double engineering bay play. Of course, it's a little bit more risky to do against Protoss since your tech buildings are very, very important and need to come out way earlier to deal with units like Colossus and High Templar. But this double forge is complete. 1-1 immediately starts for InControl, and there goes that robotics facility. So InControl does want to go for Colossus. I think that's a great decision. Really great. Be able to use concaves on this map. A lot of choke points where Colossi can be very deadly, good clips. And MMA looks like he could be getting ready to do some follow-up aggression. He does have a medevac or 2 available. The factory is floating over the Majestic factory. That Zealot at the tower says, all right, I see the factory. I know it's time to back up, try to save my units. And it looks like InControl wants to catch the army out here. To possibly deny the factory from scouting, maybe even force field off a couple of these units. 2 Marines do get caught here. A nice little shove by InControl. Not by any means going to killing this push, but he certainly delayed it. He has a lot of units available. Forces a stim out of MMA. The observer is tagged onto this army, so he knows exactly where it is. He knows exactly where he needs to be. And we have Colossus range and the first Colossus on the way for InControl. So he's in a pretty solid position, and he has some great map coverage with these pylons watching over the bottom area. But MMA has spotted this one. No combat shield not yet complete. There's still 1 here, and he has the probe here prepared to build more. And I like this observer positioning, but ooh, barely in range of that turret's vision. He's going to lose that, and now a drop going into the main base for MMA. Going to get cleaned up by InControl, but not before he kills 10 more probes. Nice little pickup there from MMA, and the Twilight Council is going to complete barely after 1-1 finishes, so InControl is going to move into a really fast 2-2. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a 2-base Colossus timing, simply because of what we've seen in the previous games. InControl is going to try to get a little bit more map vision using these pylons at the edge of the map, and his observer still knows everything that's going on. He's going to stim these Marines and run back. I feel like he might have wanted to kill that observer, but just doesn't want to get caught. There's a lot of army supply here for InControl. It's about even, actually, interestingly enough, but there is a first Colossus on the field. There are no Vikings just yet. InControl, he started his 2-2. I feel like he wants to wait for the 2-2 before going the push, maybe get 2-2, wait for a 3rd Colossus, and really just try to hammer MMA down. But he's actually caught some of these units outside, and he's going to warp in another Stalker to try to pick this off, but the medevac will get away, only catches a Marine. And +1 attack is going to finish MMA, so he's going to start that +1 armor. And MMA, I mean, he has a 3rd orbital command. He started in the Viking production. He's got a good, solid core of production, 3 bunkers, 4 Vikings now, and he's looking very, very strong. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. He has the option to go for a lot of pressure with these forces. He's unloaded his bunker, and it looks like he's trying to cross the field now, but EGiNcontrol is going to have a little bit of difficulty getting a third. MMA, as we said earlier, his macro is so strong. He's up 30 supply now after no really big engagements. So those probes, those 21 probes that he's killed so far in this game are really panning out well for him. I have to say MMA is really looking strong. EGiNcontrol is going to try to step out. He has a lot of sentries energy, so he can force field this bio army apart. But looking at the Viking count, it's only getting higher, moving up to 6 now for MMA. And I really feel like EGiNcontrol, his timing is here. He needs to make sure that he gets good positioning against the Vikings. He doesn't have a third base. MMA has a third now. He's beginning to saturate it. We look at the worker counting station. We have 60 SCVs for MMA, only 52 for EGiNcontrol. And it looks like EGiNcontrol is just going to take a third base. He's going to need to switch into Templar tech really soon, though. I feel like continuing to produce Colossus isn't going to do too much for him, since there's no real danger of a big pile push coming just yet out of MMA. Although he is up about 50 supply, just pure raw Terran macro, and yeah, nothing just yet. MMA gonna spot this pylon in the bottom right area, the spotting pylon, right? And the observer is gonna be able to see the movement. He knows the army's going to the right side, so he might try to push in from the left side. This factory will actually see a couple of these zealots heading down, as well as another proxy probe. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to try to go for here. Warping in some units from the back. He might try to just get a full surround on this army. Maybe catch the Vikings out of position, but they're moving in on the Colossus. One of them taking a ton of damage. The first Colossus is dead. The second one will fall shortly after. The third Nexus is halfway done for EGiNcontrol, but he's going to lose his whole army in the center of the field here, and this is not looking good for our Protoss player. MMA just has so many units with these 5 barracks just constantly pumping out tons of bio. This is a really, really scary position to be in for EGiNcontrol, down almost 100 supply. He's fallen below 100. MMA is going to scan, sees there's no sentries. Now, most likely going to break these rocks and then just push up and just try to kill EGiNcontrol right here. He's warped in 6 High Templar, but is it going to be enough to hold us off without force fields? I'm not sure. He'd need Amazing Storms, but he doesn't have Psionic Storm. He doesn't have any High Templar. Full stim comes in from MMA, and he's just going to push in here and crush the rest of EGiNcontrol's remaining forces. Stutter stepping backwards, the Archons dealing as much damage as they can, but it will not be enough to stop our macroing Terran. EGiNcontrol is going to lose his natural very soon. Pressing up the ramp, just trying to get as much damage as he can. EGiNcontrol trying to hold off this attack for as long as humanly possible, but he will not be able to stop these forces from pushing into his main. There's the GG from EGiNcontrol, and game number 2 is going to go to MMA. A really fast 2-0. EGiNcontrol opened up with a pretty solid defense. Lost a couple more probes than I think he wanted to, though. MMA did barely enough damage to keep the game even from his delayed expansion, and then EGiNcontrol, I don't know. He went for the Colossi, but he just didn't have enough units to deal with the macro that MMA had throughout that entire game. All right, so that brings the series 2-0 now in favor of MMA. We're going to get into game 3 as soon as we can, and I'm going to go to a really quick break, and I'll bring you back as soon as the game's about to start.